Mining for analogs in Genesis. Does that sound weird? If you follow my channel, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't follow it, I'll tell you what they're doing. There's a repeating pattern in Genesis. There's a template that is being held that is for the human life cycle and how we heal. And that is being repeated, but it's being held in analogous verbiage. And the way that they hide the template is by creating more analogs. An analog, as I'm using the term, represents something that is held in a story that means something different. For example, I might say that I'm hungry, and if you don't know that it's a spiritual teaching, you might think that I want to eat something. However, if you know it's a spiritual teaching, you know that hunger is an analogous term, which means I need to learn something. I want to know something. So now we're using verbs, nouns and verbs in different ways that mean something at a spiritual level, but they sound like they could mean something on the outside. They can get confusing. Naked, unashamed in the Garden of Eden was a good place to be. That was kids not covered with shame, anger, pain, hatred, judgment, that kind of stuff. We were still innocent children. That's naked, unashamed in the garden. You might think, okay, well, I'll buy that then. That sounds good. But what about Noah after the flood? Naked, drunk in his tent. What's the deal there? That was a good thing. They write it to make it sound different, but that naked analog means I am not covered with my pain and my shame. So they're using naked again, and it means the same thing at the conceptual level. And naked is an analog that means uncovered. Hunger means I want to learn. Those kind of things. There's a point in time where there's certain numbers and there's certain repeats of things, words that are letting us know that it means something different. There's hidden meanings in the words. It's not plain language. We're looking for things like this. 40. It rained for 40 days and 40 nights. Before the flood, before the Israelites went to find Canaan, to a new place, they spent 40 years in the desert after crossing the Red Sea. Jesus spent 40 days in the desert praying and fasting before he started his ministry right after crossing the threshold by getting baptized by John. These are repeating numbers that we're seeing, and it might say years and it might say days. We leave that out. What we're looking for is what's the same, not what's different. What does that 40 mean? The 40 appears, and it always appears in some kind of a way in this story that seems to represent the same thing. And that's what we're looking for. But there are many, perhaps hundreds. There is something in there. My name is Dan Paulson. Welcome to the channel. In this video, what I'm going to do is if you've been watching, you'll see that I'm looking for repeats, like when it says God rested on day 7 because he saw what he did was good on day 7. All that it's repeated 3 times. So 7 and 3 become the same thing. And moreover, since those appear there's 2 creation stories. If you line them up side by side, that day 7 occurs just before naked, at the same time as naked, unashamed in the garden, just before first sin. So that all lines up right there. So Eden, naked, unashamed in the Garden of Eden, 7 and 3 all mean the same thing. And this is a human life template, so they very specifically tie to the point, while we were still happy-go-lucky, wasn't attached to the world, wasn't hurt, wasn't living through my judgments of what I see happening. Later, when righteous is being said, when they're talking about Sodom and Gomorrah, there's a repeat in there where it sounds chunky. It's repeated 7 times in one area. You go, okay, so now righteous becomes 7 as well. So this is how they're creating the analogs. You look at that and go, okay, I can see what they're doing. And then the idea then was to go through and look for those cumbersome things and then try to identify them. And I don't know why. Sometimes I'm slow to catch on, but I hit on a much better way. It's understanding, first of all, that they had these memorized. So they had access to all of the information by just thinking about it at once. They had them memorized. So for me, I realize I'm at a disadvantage. If I imagine myself back then, I go, I can draw these up by memory. I can't today. So here's what I can do instead. And actually, before I open that up and look at it, what I want to say is that I treat everything as an analog. I don't at any point in time think that there are parts of these stories that are true because they just somehow make sense and that Jericho must have been there. So those parts are true, but these other things that can't be verified and they sound too weird, they must need to be interpreted. I don't do that. That's a problem. What you have to understand is that they are building the stories at their time on the template all the time, and that everything is an analog. Everything needs to be interpreted. If Jericho was there and it got destroyed in real life, that doesn't matter. They're using that as an analogous carrier representing the idea that I have destroyed my inner being and am ready to move on. That's the way it's held in the template. It's marched around 7 times. It goes back into the sevens again. This is where we would start seeing cross correlations if we get all the analogs down. 40 days and the earth is destroyed. 7 times around the city and Jericho is destroyed. Those are both the same teaching. Destroying the structure that my earth, my world, my city, my structure, who and what I am. What have I become? I want to go back and heal. I want to become something different. They're the same thing. We're going to see those patterns emerge to the point that you go, yeah, there's a network of things going on here that is a self-healing, inner turning path held in stories. All right, after all that blabbering and setup, that's just, I do that to try to help new people get on board to see what I can always just jump right into it, but I think people would wonder what I'm doing. Anyway, so instead of looking for combinations, I just look for numbers. I see 40. Let me go ahead and type it in here and see what happens. I'm going to put in 40 just because I know it's there and then see where it's being used. I've got 15 results in there. There's some here for ages. 840 years. I don't know what that means. I'm going to go down here. There we go. The rain, 40 days and 40 nights. The rain fell on the earth 40 days and 40 nights. The flood continued 40 days on the earth. What did this say up here? For in 7 days I will send rain on the earth for 40 days and 40 nights. And after 7 days, the waters of the flood came on the earth, and the rain fell for 40 days and 40 nights. So we're linking 40 and 7 here together. We really are. Let's see if that continues on. If we go, let's see where else it's being used. I'm going to jump down here. I'm going to go past the Sodom and Gomorrah because we see it there. 40. Do we see the 40 there? 40 is being said several times in here, which we also said, well, that maybe links it up with righteous as well. So it looks like another way to tie it in. But if I go down to where the first time it's used, let's see. And Isaac was 40 years old when he married Rebekah, daughter of Bethuel and Armenian of, I don't know how to pronounce all that. This fits. Okay, Isaac, that would be my consciousness. 40, pure. When he married Rebekah, I am now connected with my inner being, Rebekah. That's like Adam and Eve are now together. And Isaac prayed to the Lord for his wife because she was barren. Okay, so that's good. You start out in life. Where are we in the beginning? Naked, unashamed in the garden. We have not accumulated anything yet. And the Lord granted his prayer, and his wife Rebekah conceived. So now we're starting to pick up things in the psyche. The children struggled together within her, and she said, if it is to be this way, why do I live? So she went to inquire of the Lord. So life has gone bad right off the bat already. Do you see that? It's going to be that simple that they're using it, and we can see it pop up, and where the numbers are there, you go, okay, yeah, they're using that 40 in the same way. Let me make sure. Let me go look at another one. Where do we have? Next one. When Esau was 40 years old, he married Judith, daughter of Beeri the Hittite. So we have 40 conscious, the male and the female marrying at 40. This is the conscious and the subconscious getting together at that pure state where a new sequence is starting. And they made life bitter for Isaac and Rebekah. Yeah, we have things go bad. Things start out good, then they go bad. They start out good, then they go bad. They start out empty and devoid, then they gain things. So that's what we're looking for. And I hit on the idea now that instead of going, I'm just going to read through here, and whenever I see patterns, try to figure them out. Whenever you see a number, just put it in there. Look at where it appears and start doing the analysis that way. You know what we need? The entire Bible in a Word document where it could be done that way. Yeah, that would be incredibly revealing. Okay, so as I get into Genesis, this is the template. This has been identified previously. I will still be working on this. It is a work in progress. What we are doing is working at understanding something that is there. I'm cracking into it. So, yeah, this is not fixed. This is the template from creation all the way up to stage from 1 right there, all the way down to stage 14 where the flood happens. Look at day 7 right there. We begin mental awareness of our experiential, what we experience in life right there. We're happy and not yet attached to any real world experience. This is our place of personal bliss. We want to return to this state. That is 7. That is naked, unashamed in the Garden of Eden, male and female, conscious together, Adam and Eve, uncovered. We don't have shame or anything like that. 8, that is where judged, unchecked life experiences begin to be hidden deeply, and we begin to lose our inner joy. And you know what? We're doing normal things. We're just attaching to the physical life. We want to experience life, so we go experience life. And whatever happens, we judge it and we move on. And we accumulate things along the way, and we become products of that. That is first sin right there. Then there's an emergence. But this is going to be kind of the pattern that we're going through. The next sequence where the healing begins this is kind of the pattern. Their selected person, cause and effect is going to be established in there. There's cyclical pain, time to begin, inward journey. There's things that happen right there. We'll look at it more when we get to it. All right, then the next thing is 7 right here. This is where I'm collecting the analogs for what 7 means. This is this is before we had our world experiences, bliss in ignorance. We're just happy little kids. We don't know anything. We're happy playing. We don't care. Okay, this place is going to be Eden. We can't get back here. Never. We will never be ignorant again. We will always have knowledge. We must get to this kind of a feeling without ever returning to Eden. So we're going to go to 7 or 3 or righteous or covenant or 50, 40, 30, 20, 10, 5 Canaan. You see, I've got some of them marked green, and I can do that with a few more of them here. What I'm doing is marking ones that are confirmed. We can confirm 40 now, can't we? Yeah, absolutely. You see how we're just going through, how I'm going through there and identifying those basically in that way. And then understanding that they are conceptual, that they have to be interpreted, but that they're doing something like that. You're going to be starting out devoid of things. You haven't eaten anything. You're in a famine. You don't have any offspring. All of those sound like, oh, they're horrific things. This is our happy childhood self is what that is representing right there. My conscious and my subconscious, my male and my female are together, but we haven't experienced anything, so we don't have any offspring. What happens when you do have offspring what happens after first sin? You're told that your punishment will be to have pain in childbirth from now on. There you go. Every time you have offspring, every time this experience happens, what happens down here? The kids are bothersome, all of that. You see how at some point you go, okay, you get too close to it. You don't see what's going on. You step back and see a big conceptual picture and go, I see what they're doing there. This is going to be a repeating pattern. And that's what we're going to go after. I'm going to start doing some color coding and things like that. I think that if we can maybe do that on the template and then in the stories, color code the parts and then line them up side by side. Oh, look, we got green, green, then red, red, then yellow, yellow, blue, blue, or something to that effect. I've got some preliminary work up here that shows kind of some of that. This is old stuff. Earlier things, kind of moving along this line though. And then here is actually first sin. Take a look at what we have here. There is anything bigger than 7. I'm not sure about 75 there, possibly. We've got day 8. Day 8 that's when Jewish men are supposed to become circumcised. Jewish boys are supposed to be circumcised on day 8. There's going to be Mary, Pharaoh, and Egypt. First sin, consuming of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. This is experiencing life. Man on man, that is having physical conscious experiences. That is conscious on conscious. Man on man does not mean gay man sex. What that means is anybody's consciousness attaching to the world in a physical sense. I see people that are doing mean, angry things. I go join them. I judge that and I go, okay, I'm a part of this now. Or I hate them or something like that. We are actually, that is attaching to life. But moreover, if you think about it, what it is that the actions that we're doing is creating some sort of an offspring. There is a result of this union. We've got together and created something that is now as a result of it. It's gotten worse, it's gotten better, it's gotten something. So this is producing something. Cause and effect is always right there. It's not in the background. It's how it works. That's the idea anyway. And to continue to collect the analogs on the way, because right here in Genesis, and there may be other places downstream, but right here in Genesis, I can see that they're just creating a lot of these analogs that are going to be used in Abrahamic material. And what is being accumulated right here, especially in 7 and 8, are the things that are going to be right up front in those stories and the monomyths. There's going to be something talking about cause and effect and cycles. Somehow that's going to be a lesson as a part of it. It's going to be starting out somewhere devoid of things, or it's going to start out pure. It might not start out devoid. It might start out good. I've got 3 daughters and 7 sons in Job. There we have 3 and 7, male and female. That is our inner part that is ready to go, that is pure. That is something that will become evident when you realize where those numbers are. And it might not be there. It might be, oh, somebody else who is now righteous before God. Righteous fits right into that same analog pool. The template is repeating without sounding like it is. Okay. Hope this was interesting and a good preparation for jumping into Genesis in the next video. I think. I'm doing a lot of prep. It's big. It really is big. Okay. See you in the next video.